back again with my top 10 least favorite dramas. Is that what I titled it? So, Hair, inspired by Sawako from Kimi ni Tsudoke, because it's so cute. Like, if you've seen Kimi ni Tsudoke and you've seen the episode where she was like in her gym uniform, and then she had her hair up in a bun, and it was so cute. Sawako is just so adorable. I aspire to just look like Sawako, basically. As I said in the last, or in part 1 rather, this list is in no particular order. These are just dramas that I personally didn't like. A lot of people probably do like these dramas. I know less so people who like these dramas than in the first part. In the first part, like, a lot of people love those dramas, recommend those dramas. These were just ones that I found either on Netflix or on Drama Fever. Although one of them, the one that it dropped, actually, I found both on Netflix and on Drama Fever. And the description on Drama Fever is what made me watch it. That one is like more towards the end, so I'll talk more about that later. So starting off the list at number 7, I think we were at, The Miracle.
눈에 슬픔이
30년 동안 아무도 뽑지 않은 카드를 못된 년랑 나랑 영혼이 바뀌었다고.
Polar opposites in personality and looks, fraternal twin sisters who live completely different lives wake up one day to find they've switched bodies. Now, this actually is not my least favorite. It was pretty good. Can't remember if it was actually funny, but it was entertaining. I remember that. The thing that I didn't like. Okay, so one of the twins, the one who initially makes the wish to be more like her sister, she's bigger, and her sister is like really skinny. Her sister is also like a K-pop star, which I think the actress is actually a K-pop star. I don't know which band she's in, but I think she actually is a K-pop star. That being said, when they switch bodies, the thing that doesn't make sense to me about that is that the K-pop star sister can't actually sing, but the bigger sister can. And when they switch bodies, suddenly the thinner sister can sing. That doesn't make sense to me because you're switching your brains. That doesn't have anything to do with your vocal cords and your body itself. So her switching bodies shouldn't have affected her singing capabilities because she still has the same vocal cords. So that's one thing that's just a nitpick. The thing that I didn't like about it is that the bigger sister actually ends up falling for and dating while she's in her thinner sister's body, another K-pop star who falls for her because of her voice. When they switch back, she goes to audition, and he, I think, recognized her voice, but that's where they cut it off. They cut it off at her singing, which it was obvious that she was actually lip syncing. So there's that. They couldn't have had her really sing, I don't know. But it was obvious to me that she was lip syncing. They cut it off at him like recognizing her voice. And, recognizing that that's the voice that he fell in love with. Because that's why he fell in love with her, because of her singing when she was in her thinner sister's body. However, I don't like or appreciate that they based this whole thing off of, fall for somebody for what's on the inside rather, and looks don't matter. But they don't back that up by confirming that it's canon. They just like imply that it's canon, but they don't confirm it. When we had seen previously, when she was her thinner sister, that they were, you know, actually together and they were happy, and they were kissing, kind of kissing. Like it was clear that they weren't actually kissing, but that it was implied that they were, you know, kissing. But when she came back to the bigger sister, they couldn't have had something like that. I didn't like that, because if your message is that it's what's on the inside that matters, then it shouldn't matter that now she's bigger and you don't want to show him actually going after her while she's bigger. It shouldn't matter. I think it was pretty entertaining. Except I didn't like that the thinner sister kept hiding the fact that her sister, her twin sister, was who she was, just because she was bigger and didn't look appropriate or whatever. I didn't like that either. And that doesn't change throughout the series. Like, it's not like they switch back and all of a sudden she invites her sister up on stage to perform with her. No, they stay with the status quo, which I also didn't appreciate or like. Moving on. When a snail falls in love. There's a few things that I didn't like about this, but let's start off with the premise of this drama. Two talented crime solvers share a connection, but when one wants the relationship to move faster than the other, things get complicated. I wish that was more accurate to what we actually get in this drama. So what we actually get, also, look, it's a kitty. I got this at Forever 21, by the way. It's so cute. And it's huge. Like, look at that. That's huge. Like, you can see. Mind you, I have pretty big hands. So, that's how big it is. And it's so cute. It's a little kitty. I got it at Forever 21. It was $20 though. But it was worth it because I think it charges for like 5 hours, which is great. Anyway, back to When a Snail Falls in Love. Let's start with things that I did like. I liked that how they introduced the main female character. However, the way they introduce her is all we get for characterization, because soon after that, apparently she just falls in love with the main guy for no real reason, because they really don't interact. And when they do interact, it's either him training her or racing her, and they don't really talk. But suddenly she's in love with him. And at one point, I think her friend was in love with him also. But by the time that the main girl falls in love with him, that doesn't matter. Other than that, he also falls in love with her seemingly out of nowhere. Show, don't tell. I really need shows to understand that I want to see characters falling in love and feel their connection. I don't want to be told that they love each other now and they're gonna be together. If that was the case, you could have just started with them being together and gone from there. Like, we would get the same thing if you start the series and they're already together and you just tell us that they're together and then go from there, rather than them not being together and suddenly they're in love with each other and they're together. So there's that. Other things I didn't like. Actually, this was pretty funny. So they're on a train trying to escape one of the bad guys. And for the record, this is supposed to be a kind of romance. However, it's very much so action-based. Oh, and another thing, the cinematography. People said that they liked the cinematography. No, I did not. Okay, there was a shot of the guy sitting at a table drinking coffee, and the camera was moving like this. Hold on, I'll reenact it. It was moving like this. But that's how bad the cinematography was. Like in a still scene where all you have to do is hold the camera still and film this guy drinking a cup of coffee in a chair. The camera is still shaking and moving. And it gets worse when it's like moving scenes, like when he's chasing after a bad guy or he's fighting a bad guy. It's so bad. And I don't think it got better as the series progressed. I don't. Moving on from that, there is a scene where they're running from a bad guy on a train, and he like pushes the girl out of the window and is holding on to her, and he's like, "You can survive for both of us," basically. And she's like, no, I'm not going anywhere. Hanging out of the train. Just, you're not going anywhere? But you're hanging out of a train. You're going somewhere. You're going somewhere. So, yeah, there's that. That was one of the more serious scenes that actually ended up being funny. But that's not a good thing because the tension should have been here when in actuality that line just brought it down to like here. Moving on from that, the ending. So at this point they're finally together. You would think that this would be a joyous occasion. He's just gotten out of the hospital after having been, you know, in this accident and almost losing his life. Finally together. And he proposes. At least that's what I would like to say. He does not propose. He basically just puts the ring on her finger, and then, get this, she says, "Aren't you gonna ask me if I'm gonna marry you?" And he says, "Would you say no?" And she goes along with it. She just goes along with it. Now, I'm all for, you know, submissive women. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with dominating men. I'm okay with a man taking charge. I am. But when the guy just assumes that the woman is going to marry him, doesn't even ask her, and then when she brings it up, he just, you know, kind of is like, well, you're not going to say no. And she just, you know, is like, oh, okay. Then I have a problem. Bitch, grow a backbone. Grow some gonads. Don't let this man tell you what you are and aren't going to do. No. I draw the line at that. At least pose it as a question. The next one is fantastic.
한류스타 아닙니까?
그럼 뭐해? 연기가 안 되는데.
나도 알아요, 나 발연기. 세상이 다 아는 얘긴데 뭐. 이거 너무 지나치게 잘생긴 거 아니야, 이거?
연관 검색어가 뭔지 아세요?
Fangirl Musings actually has a review on this, and I will link that in the description below. There's even a scene where they're in a van, and the van starts moving because they're doing some stuff in the van. And it's funny. However, it makes you laugh, which is good. It's supposed to. But it doesn't, even though they're clearly like in love together, like the chemistry is great. They, you know, they clearly show that they have feelings for each other from beginning to end. It makes sense. However, it just feels like something is missing. Let me go into the premise of this. Diagnosed with terminal cancer, a thriving scriptwriter decides to live her life as never before, even enjoying the attention of two different men. Okay. Here's another thing I didn't like about it. She clearly likes the first guy, and he's nice and considerate, and she actually likes him. She even tells him so when she's drunk. However, she thinks that he has a girlfriend, which he doesn't. I think it was his sister or something like that. And he, in turn, like, soonly after she confesses, he confesses that he likes her too and would like to pursue her. And this happens before she really confirms that she likes the other guy. So I don't understand why she didn't even, like, attempt to date the first guy, the doctor. But she doesn't. She basically just hears that and she gets all happy about it for like a day. And then the other guy confesses that he likes her. And she instantly decides that she wants the second guy, even though he's not as nice. They argue a ton. He's much more abrasive, is the word I want to use. And in my opinion, I would have much preferred that she at least attempt to go after the doctor. But she doesn't. Which, in my opinion, was really disappointing. Because then he just ends up alone. And I think he dies, too, at the end. I mean, spoiler alert, but I wouldn't recommend you watch this one. Instead, you could just go watch Fangirl Musing's review of it. It's much more entertaining. It's entertaining, but it's not like, you don't get attached to characters. Like, by the end, she has a death scare, and I couldn't find myself caring about it either way. She was having a temper tantrum because she was tired of doing chemo, and she was tired of, you know, trying to survive and all this stuff. And I think she even, like, has an out-of-body experience, and you question whether she's gonna come back or not, and whether she's dead or not. And then it turns out that she lives. And for all that, there should have been way more tension than there actually was. You should have cared that she was dying. Should have cared that she was tired of doing chemo. But I didn't. And it wasn't boring, it was entertaining, but it was just... Next on the list is Miss Rose.
Mampukah dia meluluhkan hati bos barunya agar peduli dan menjadi manusia yang lebih baik? Ikuti kisahnya dalam Miss Rose.
Even though Megan Myers in this one, I don't like her character in it. Her character kind of kills it, actually, for me. Which, after watching Bromance again, I realized that her character in Bromance and her character in Miss Rose are kind of similar. However, Perrin in Bromance didn't let her get away with that shit. Like, she would be like, oh yeah, I shouldn't be around you anymore, we should break up, I don't deserve to be around you, you're gonna get yourself hurt. And he's just like, no, you're not leaving my side. And that was that. In this, not so much. Let me go over the premise. I really don't like this drama, if you can tell. So, resolving to get married soon, hardworking CE finds love in an unexpected place, but her ex and her job interfere with her plans. So, Puff, the girl from Just You, I'll put a picture here. She is actually in this. She plays Vivian. And when I say that Puff is talented, she is talented. She can play, in Just You, she played this very perky, character. And she was happy and chipper all of the time, which isn't a bad thing. It's not. She's the protagonist. She's supposed to be. However, I didn't really care for Just You or her character in it, which is no fault of hers. But then in this, she plays a villain. But in Miss Rose, she plays a villain. She plays the antagonist. She wants to marry this guy, and he wants to be with CU. I had to look down at the name. He wants to be with CU. And so she comes up with all these elaborate plans to get him to be with her. She even stages this accident with, I think it is CU's ex. She stages this accident where he hits her with his car and then she loses her sight, and the guy, he feels bad, so he gets back with her. But only, I'll get into that later, because there's some stuff that CE does, or Megan Lai rather, her character does, to push him to get back with Vivian's character. And like, they do this thing where they do this a lot in Taiwanese dramas, where they try to redeem the antagonist, and a lot of the time it doesn't work. However, in this, right before they were about to get married, Vivian reveals that she can see again and tells him to go back to CE. And honestly, I hate when they try and like redeem the characters and show that they've changed and become good again after they've done horrible things. And don't get me wrong, Vivian did some horrible things. But this works. She came to this realization of her own accord. Like, nobody forced her to do it. Nobody talked her into it. She just came to this realization on her own. And in front of everyone, in the middle of this wedding, she tells him that she can't marry him if he doesn't feel the same way about her that she does about him, and lets him go. And it works. It works. And she plays such a good antagonist. She plays the spoiled brat so good. But then she also played in Love Myself for You. That's what she played in. And she plays a protagonist again, but this time she plays a workaholic, kind of stubborn, introverted character. And she plays that well too. She is just fantastic. I love her. I love Puff. She's fantastic. If she ever comes out with anything again, I'll probably watch it. If I find anything else that she's in, I'll probably watch it, because the girl, she's talented. The girl's talented. Yeah, just love her. Back to Miss Rose and talking about Megan Lai and why I didn't like this drama, instead of fangirling over Puff for like the next 10 years, which I could do, but we're gonna move on. Megan, her character, is constantly pushing the guy away by saying that she's not good enough for him, even though time and time again he keeps telling her, I don't care if you think you aren't good enough. I don't care that your family doesn't have money. I want to be with you because I love you. And they constantly are like getting back together, and then he'll be in some sort of trouble, and she'll be like, oh, this is because of me and because I'm not good enough, and like push him away and break up with him. And then they get back together because he reaffirms that he wants to be with her and that he loves her. But then she breaks up with him again. And it's just a vicious cycle. It keeps happening. I think it happened like 3 or 4 times. And the last time it happens, they're together. And it's after he tells Vivian that he doesn't want to be with her, even if he does feel guilty about the accident. And she's like, well, this happened because of us, and Vivian wants to be with you, so I should let you be with her. However, before she breaks his heart, again, mind you, again, she sleeps with him. And then, while he's so asleep, I think they had necklaces that were proof of their love for each other, and she took it off and left it on the nightstand and left. And that's how she broke up with him, I think. But I understand what they were going for. And I knew exactly that it was going to happen and what she was going to do before it happened. However, that does not justify it or make it okay. Because that was you're going to hit it and quit it. Because if the roles were reversed and the guy did that to a girl, and he slept with her and then broke up with her, people will lose their goddamn minds. Because that's not okay. But, apparently in this, we're just supposed to overlook it. No. It's stupid if a guy does it, it's stupid if a girl does it. I really don't like Megan's character in that. And I don't like that her co-star, him, I don't like that he is such a pushover that he just lets her get away with it, which is probably why I like romance a lot more. Because Baron's character didn't let her get away with that. He kept her around, even when she was trying very hard to push him away. He reassured her every single time and didn't let her go. That's probably why I like romance more. That and the ending. Ending thing. Moving on, and this is the last one, I think. The one that I dropped at 6 episodes, mind you. It's Beating Again, or Falling in Love with Si Yoon Hun, or something like that.
사랑한다 순정아. 그리고 미안하다.
나도 사랑해.
아가씨, 우리 꼭 잘 살자잉.
After enduring both business and family upheavals, a ruthless investment director has a heart transplant and finds a new way to look at life and love. There is another description on Drama Fever. I'll put it here. However, the two main characters have no chemistry. The girl, who was engaged to a guy who she started dating or having feelings for in high school, so they were high school sweethearts, engaged to get married, he dies, and she doesn't even mourn his death. But then her boss, who she often quarrels with and doesn't like, he's often verbally abusive to her and physically abusive. He doesn't actually ever lay his hands on her, but he breaks the table in anger at her and scares her away. This doesn't change after he gets her fiance's heart. What happens is that sometimes he's nice to her in the way that her fiance would have been if he were still alive. And when he was alive, he did those things. It confuses her. However, he still maintains the verbal abuse. Mind you, I only watched 6 episodes of this and I was done at 6 episodes. So, you would think that if she's falling in love with the parts of her fiance that are now being attributed in the new guy, her boss, that she would show some sort of internal struggle or conflict, or show any outward signs that she's actually falling for him, but she doesn't. You would expect her to be conflicted because she still loves her fiance, but now she's starting to question that and feel bad because she's starting to like this new guy, because he acts a lot like him. As for the main guy, we clearly see that he's falling for the main girl, and we see that he's like confused about it because he's like, these feelings are coming out of nowhere because of his new heart, which is her fiance. But we don't see any of that from her, and we just see the parts of her that are like confused because he's doing things that her fiance did. And he even bought the house that her fiance was talking about buying after they got married. They don't have any chemistry other than either. Even when it was with her long-term boyfriend / fiance, they didn't have any chemistry. And if they don't have chemistry, how are you supposed to believe that she's falling in love with this new guy because she acts like her fiance if her and her fiance didn't have any chemistry? Other than that, a lot of the business side of the company that her boss ran took over the drama, and it was a lot of the focus of the drama, which was boring AF, and I didn't understand half of what was going on. The only other thing that I can remember being very confused about was that he wanted to get revenge on his uncle, who was the new owner of his late father's company. He wanted to get revenge because somehow that caused his father's death and his mother committed suicide, which I felt really bad for, but then it automatically goes into him being an asshole. Because he came home from school, like he was a child, he came home from school and his mother had hung herself. So he wanted revenge on his uncle for basically causing the death of both of his parents. And then his uncle, was it committed suicide or just died? I can't remember. I think it was that he had a heart attack or something, cardiac arrest, and died. And then after hearing him say that he hates his uncle all this time, and we never see anything to the contrary, he finds his uncle dead and is like screaming and crying, and causes the main girl to start crying because she's there too. Seeing him so emotional over the death of his uncle makes her start crying, and they have this sweet moment. But then immediately after that, he doesn't go to the funeral. No, he goes immediately to get his job, like his uncle's job, to claim it. And then it's like, I finally got revenge for you, father. And it doesn't make sense. Like, you can't go from being emotional about the death of your uncle after saying all these horrible things about him, being emotional about that, and then going back to being a dick and being an asshole and saying that you hate your uncle and that you're glad you finally got revenge for your father. Doesn't make sense. This concludes my 10 least favorite dramas that I've ever watched, part 2.